Hello, everyone, and welcome to the digital short project overview, really the overview for the entirety of Project 2. So, like the video and video clips from Project 1, this one's going to kind of walk you through the major assignments that you're going to complete. You can see there's a lot of resources to help you support in addition to that, but this video is really just going to kind of go through like the practical steps you'll take to developing the film. So the first step is the project guidelines. We have the digital short project guidelines. Some things to keep in mind. The film needs to be a minimum of 10 minutes in length. You're permitted 1 minute and 30 seconds of outside combined audio and video. And you're going to use digital evidence in the form of images, videos, sound effects, music, video clips, etc. And then finally, you need a title. You need a reference and a credit section at the end of the film. Depending on the video editing software, they'll have some very cinematic tools to help you create those. And certainly you could do like a PowerPoint slide as well too and integrate that. And we'll talk about, the requirement or minimum or maximum requirements for those as well too. Okay. We're utilizing a lot of the same process from Project 1. The digital short will pull from the previous project resources and analyze one or more stakeholders' view of your topic in the state of California at a city or county level of focus. Again, your fault line in the form of the digital short. The script for Project 2 will be developed through a thesis-driven narrative that presents one or more stakeholders' perspectives of the topic within the state of California at a city or county level of focus. Again, your fault line. So the focal, of the digital script is that it is, and then ultimately what will become the film is that it is it's focused on the stakeholders. Like we're talking about our resources in the first half of the digital script, but we're unpacking it through the stakeholders' perspective or how it helps us understand the stakeholders' perspective. And then in the second half of the film, we're presenting the stakeholders' perspective. So at minimum, you're going to need one or more stakeholders. Stakeholders are specific organizations, individuals, and institutions. So, if you remain broad with this is going to make you have to do a lot of revisions. Let's just kind of put it that way. Your stakeholders must have an interest in your topic from Project 1. Your fault line must be the same from Project 1, again, at a city or county level of focus within California. You'll begin with the resources from Project 1, and then they will be integrated into the actual, script, and you'll, frame your discussion of each of the resources through your stakeholders' perspectives. And then you'll develop that'll be like the reference at the end. You'll have a reference slide or a reference clip at the end. And then you'll collect digital evidence, or what we're going to call digital media, in the form of images, video, music, etc. You'll save the hyperlinks for each piece of digital evidence, and those hyperlinks will be both within the script itself, and then they'll be at the very end in your credits as well too. You're allowed up to 1 minute and 30 seconds of combined audio and video within the 10-minute length of the film. So you could take, video clips from movies, shows, documentaries, podcasts, social media, wherever you're finding other people talking on video, you can bring that in. And then any audio clips you can bring in as well too. But all of that combined can only be up to 1 minute and 30. And we'll talk a lot about that as we get deeper into the project. You're allowed to utilize 5 PowerPoint slides or Google Slides, Prezi slides, any type of presentation software that creates a slide. You could use 5. 3 of those must be title, reference, credit. And then that means you can bring 2 other slides in if you want to bring some direct quotes or whatever. But, the video editing software is going to do a lot of that work for you. So you don't really need to worry about bringing additional software in. And then finally, your digital short must be submitted as the final film. It has to be submitted as an MP4, an MOV, or as a hyperlink to a YouTube post. And then, if you do it on YouTube, there's some requirements, but, you set it not for children, you set it for public, then I can add it to my YouTube channel, and I'll give you a little bit of extra credit for that. Okay. There's a couple steps we're going to take, just like Project 1. where we got into, the academic process of writing through annotating and then drafting some core elements and then putting that all together for peer review and then the final draft. We'll do the same thing for project 2 as well. We'll begin with a check-in, and then we'll use a lot of the writing in the check-in to develop the topic proposal. The topic proposal will then, be revised, and it'll essentially become the introduction to our film. We'll complete a digital media check-in to kind of help you start thinking about how you'll collect the digital media. And so in these first 3 steps, you'll start getting incremental bits of feedback to help you focus the writing of the script and the quality of digital media in relation to what you're writing in the script. Is your video and images reflecting your stakeholders, your fault line, things like that, your topic. And we'll utilize all of that to help us write the script. So you won't just sit down and write a script. First and foremost, you'll download the template for the digital script. Then you'll utilize those early stages of project 2 to begin filling out the digital script. So you'll pull your resources from project 1. You'll use the topic proposal as the introduction. You'll integrate the digital media from the digital media check-in to begin expanding that visual part of the digital script. And then the digital script will be peer reviewed. So you'll finish the script. It's a little bit, the peer review for project 2 is a little bit different. In project 1, you just needed it partially done. In project 2, you need the full script completed if you wish to earn, a higher grade. And then, I mean, essentially you'll have to, because for this project, you need to score a minimum of 40 out of 50 to open everything else up. So that's the other difference for project 2 compared to project 1 peer review. For project 2, you're able to revise until you get up to 40 out of 50 or full credit, depending on how late you submit it. So, you will get a lot of feedback really on the script. And we want the script to be at least a B+, because what that allows us to do then is guarantee that, at least in terms of what we read in the script, it's going to be in line with the assignment guidelines. You've gotten extensive feedback, and then it'll really be up to you to make sure you're meeting the requirements for the visual medium, right? For the visual narrative that you're creating with the digital media. So when you're done with the script, you're really almost done with the film. You just have to record the audio, put everything together. And we'll talk a lot about that over the course of the term. The idea that, or the remainder of the term, the idea that, in the first half of this project, you are a screenwriter. You're writing what will be the thing that you read as the narrator, right? So you're writing a script for a film. And then once the script is done, now you're the narrator, you're the performer, and you're the director. So you'll take the audio from the script, you'll read it on your phone, save it as an MP4, put it in the video editor. Now you're putting your film together. So, there's 2 roles that you play. And it's, again, different than Project 1. Project 1's a traditional essay. In Project 2, we're writing a film script. That's a very different way of writing, very different form of writing. But we're still going to leverage this evidence-based communication. We're going to utilize the academic skills and behaviors that we utilize from Project 1 to make this into, the documentary that we want to make. Then you'll complete a process write. You'll submit the digital short final draft. So the first step is one check-in. One check-in is 2 parts. First and foremost, because we're just beginning project 2, we want to kind of get a feel for where we're at in the term. So what's your current grade? What grade do you anticipate receiving in the course? And then what work do you still need to complete to receive your anticipated grade? And then on the other side of that, we have the second half where we're starting to focus project 1. So who are the stakeholders in your topic from project 1? What's your fault line from project 1? And then how are you going to revise your thesis statement so that it's presenting the perspectives of your stakeholders in relation to the topic and the fault line? So again, it's a different focus. In project 1, you're just talking about your research. In project 2, you've researched, you've written. Now talk about the stakeholders' perspective. Get on the ground, go into your fault line, find the individuals, institutions, organizations that are actually dealing with your topic within your fault line and decide how you want to present that. So you can argue a point. You could just present all the sides. You could do problem solution. Like there's a lot of different ways to kind of structure the second half of a film and really frame your discussion of your resources through your stakeholders' perspectives. So one check-in is getting us to start think about that. Two topic proposal is it's a more formal presentation of what's actually going to be in the script. And again, it's gonna become the introduction for your film as well too. So, first and foremost, you'll want to check out the rhetorical genres that are available to you. I also put the link to my student YouTube channel so you can get in there and look at that as well too. But the rhetorical genres essentially they allow you to see this project through the framework in how you want to communicate the ideas. We'll discuss this a little further. You can kind of mix and match your approach, but it's a way of kind of thinking about like how you're going to present the stakeholders' perspectives, right? If you just want to show different sides, maybe you're doing more informational. If you want to argue a point, maybe you want to be a little bit more motivational or persuasive. If you just want to kind of educate or instruct, there are different ways to kind of approach how you'll present your stakeholders' perspectives, and the rhetorical genre really help with that. Again, we're taking project one, so some questions on that. And then, again, really kind of diving into the specifics of project two. So really kind of thinking about what we're going to write in the broader structure of the script. Again, issues, stakeholders, fault line, audience, rhetorical genre, put your works cited, and then go ahead and give us your more focused thesis. All of this you'll revise based on my feedback, and then the final revision, you'll reshape it so it will become the introduction to the film. So two topic proposal is really like setting in stone what you're going to talk about in your film and really how you'll talk about it as well too. Step 3 is the digital media resource check-in. This is where I'll provide you with resources to really help you locate, the digital media, right? And certainly, you can get into Google, use the search operators and key terms like we talked about in Project One. The library has some really good digital media resources, and then I gave you a resource on Canvas titled Production with a lot of, open source, non-copyright, Creative Commons, public domain digital media that you can use to build the film as well too. So the digital media resource check-in, all you're doing is taking the hyperlinks for the 3 different types of digital media that you're collecting. So you're collecting digital media for the stakeholders, for the fault line, and for your topic in general. And again, for the submission, it should just be your, the headings and then the 3 hyperlinks. That's it. And then I'll give you feedback on what you're thinking about in terms of the visual narrative, right? With 1 check-in and 2 topic proposal, this is more about what you're going to say in the writing. With 3 digital media check-in, now it's me giving you feedback on, what are you going to show? What is sort of like that visual narrative that your audience is going to take away from this, right? Because if you're making a film for someone over the age of 60, you probably don't want a lot of flash, flashy images and, things that could cause a stroke, right? Like you probably don't want a lot of loud contemporary music. You want to keep things light and accessible. Whereas if you're making something for someone your age or maybe a little bit younger, now all of a sudden it's a very different creative domain, right? Like you're bringing in a lot of different types of digital media that's more relevant to today. You're bringing, things that might appeal to algo speak or, things that might be a little bit more culturally nuanced for, an online environment, right? Maybe you bring more TikTok or Instagram clips than you would for someone who's in an audience over 60, right? really important to remember that stakeholders are specific organizations, individuals, and institutions. So, for example, government officials in LA are not specific organizations, individuals, and institutions, right? We need specific, officials. Your digital media should reflect your specific stakeholders, topic, and fault line. So that's one of the big feedbacks that I'm going to give you. Your digital media should be in the form of hyperlinks that lead to the images and or video. So I should be able to click on it and go right to it. It shouldn't take me to a web page that I have to search. And then finally, you need to provide a timestamp. So if you're going to include any combined audio and video, or video without audio, or just audio, you need to make sure that you're putting the timestamp down as well too. Okay. And again, all of these things you'll get feedback on, opportunity to revise for full credit. So once you've completed those steps, you're essentially ready to begin the digital script. And the first thing is that you're going to download the digital script template, just like you download the template for Project 1. And that template will walk you through, what content should go in each of the 10 claims. It's set up to still go through that idea of like claim evidence and analysis like we use in Project 1. It's just a little bit more structured like a script, because one of the things you have to understand about the film script is that you're not just writing something to be read in your head. You're writing something to be performed. So when you're doing the digital script, it's very important that your claim is just a single sentence, that you have your digital media in between, and then your analysis is the bulk of the writing. And again, a lot of the feedback that I'm going to give you is that, how are you using the structure? So you're getting feedback on the content, right? Like, are you adjusting the guidelines? Are you following the directions for Project 2? But you're also going to get it, are you writing a script that is legible, right? So if you just copy and paste stuff in there and it's really disorganized, it's an automatic 0 until you bring the formatting correct. And then once the formatting looks like the template is structured, then I can start giving you the correct feedback. Because again, when you're writing an academic essay, it's for someone to read in their head. There are different conventions and rules to writing academically. When you're making a film, most people, you're never going to read the script of a film unless you're into filmmaking, right? Or you take a film writing class, a script writing class, a screenwriting class. But everybody will hear it, and they'll see the results of what was planned in that script as well too. So, we're doing something a little more practical in this form of writing, okay? But again, if you make a professional or an academic film in your upper division courses or in your career, you'll have had this process to give you a more formal structure for academic and professional filmmaking. Yeah. It's different than creative, right? Creative, you're thinking about the actors, you're thinking about, different visual mediums to appeal to the audience. In the academic and professional, you are as well, but it's a little bit more literal. We're trying to educate no matter what. That's the function of the documentary. You are educating and informing. And in both of those, that's the value, because it's video. Now, all of a sudden, someone can take your research and writing from Project 1, someone with like a third grade level of literacy, and they can watch your film and learn something. They probably couldn't read your literature review, but they can watch your film and really get the core ideas of what you're talking about. And that's what film does. It generalizes and gives us an opportunity to appeal to, different mediums, right? Because there's visual, there's auditory, there's the written and the development of it all. There's a practical production, right? It's so multidimensional. But also, when you post it on YouTube, now all of a sudden anyone can access it anywhere. It could be transcribed in any language. You could put subtitles on anything. You could dub it. I mean, it's much more malleable. And in that malleability, it creates more accessibility. So we're really kind of thinking about that with the script, and then in the final film, like, how am I presenting my research through my stakeholders about my topic and fault line as a film, as this visual medium that's really powerful, right? Like, the bulk of society is getting their information now through, podcasts online, right? Or through social media and video clips online. Most people your age, they're on TikTok and Instagram. They're not on Facebook. Maybe they're on Threads or, Twitter, but those really aren't that popular, right? Especially in younger demographic ranges, because you all are really driven through the visual media. It's film, it's short video clips, it's long video clips, it's episodes, it's theaters. Like, these engage you very differently, but they're still communicating information. We're really trying to practice that, but through an academic context. So once the digital script is done, we'll do a peer review like we did in Project 1. You'll post the digital script, to me. You'll post it to the discussion board. You'll get to see all of your peers' work. 2 by 250 words to me. It's your choice if you want to share it or not. So it's the same process as Project 1. The difference is that the digital script, you are expected to continue to revise until you at least get 40 out of 50. So for some of you, you might do 5 or 6 revisions. Everybody is going to do at least 2 rounds of revisions, because we really need to make it on point. But if we need to do 6, we're going to get you there. Because if you've done 2 or 6 and you've gotten that 40 out of 50, that 50 out of 50, you're on your way to an A in the final project. And to me, that's important, because I want us to have a project that I can put on my YouTube channel. I mean, it's that simple. I want something that is that an audience can watch and learn about what you did. I think there's something very powerful in that. And now all of a sudden, when someone is, researching your topic on YouTube, right? Like, say they put in, anti-racism in Oakland or climate change in Los Angeles, your video could pop up and educate that audience. So now you're not just creating something for my class. You're taking part in a really important conversation for the whole world. Yeah? Anti-racism, racism, immigration, xenophobia, climate change, housing costs of living, data science, algorithms, artificial intelligence. All of these topics are detrimentally important to the greater good of human civilization. They're not just important to California. They're not just important in the United States. They're not just important in the English-speaking world or in the Western world. They're important in every culture and every society, because everyone deals with those topics. And so you are having a really important conversation about how society moves forward through an evidence-based format, right? Through an evidence-based medium of communication, or strategy of communication, right? Because you're starting with your research from Project 1, you're framing it through the experience of the stakeholders, you're giving us both the facts and the evidence that led you to this, and you're presenting it through the people who are actually experiencing this as well too. The institutions, organizations that are actually experiencing this as well too. Okay. So for production, production and publishing are resources to kind of help you put it together and then go through the steps to actually assemble and decide how you're going to submit. The only other thing you have to do for the film is the process right. So the process right is a 500-word self-reflection where you explain how you took Project 1, turned it into Project 2. So very much self-reflexive writing. Just talk to me about how Project 1 became Project 2 and those steps. And you have, some questions to really help you structure that response as well too. But, the bulk of the work for the film is the script, because once the script is done, I think that it's going to be a little bit more natural for you. All of you are filmmakers, right? Like, really, like, we now live in a world where everyone's a filmmaker. If you have an iPhone, you have a video camera that can make, theater quality films. You have audio recording that can record at a theater quality level, right? Like Dolby Digital Sound, or like the iPhones are. I mean, you have a walking production studio. You have iMovie on your phone. Like, you can mix, you can edit, you can assemble the whole film there. It's probably a little bit easier on your tablet or laptop because you want a bigger screen, but you have the capability just on your phone now, and people take advantage of that, right? Like influencers, they're filming through their phones. Social media accounts, they're developing and proliferating through their phones, right? And certainly you could use your tablet, you could use your laptop as well. It gives you a little bit more processing power and memory, all those things, right? But the reality is that everybody communicates through video now, right? Like when we're watching, the genocide in Palestine, or the brutal occupation in Ukraine, right? Like we're getting live video of people reporting that, just like we do when we see police brutality or ICE destroying like Gestapo minority communities, right? So it's not just like holding your phone up and recording. That's an important part of it. But now you have a strategy to plan out a much more complex and dynamic film in both an academic and professional context. That's just like writing a literature review, right? Like now you know how to make an academic and a professional film, how to brainstorm, how to collect various forms of digital media, how to put it into a script. Then, we go through how to record that audio, how to put it in the video editor, assemble it, publish it, and then decide how you want to proliferate it as well too. Okay. So, this project is really something that I think is just as important as Project One. Even though we're leveraging a lot of Project One, I think Project Two is just as important because this is the mainstream form of communication. This is how people communicate about, what they see in their world, what they perceive in the world, what they feel, what they think in their world, right? And it's everywhere. And not only is it everywhere, we have it every single minute because there's a TV in every room, there's a screen in everyone's hand, and video is now powerful. And so when we think of it like that and we leverage our skills to utilize it, that gives us another tool towards the the attainment of our goals, our dreams in higher education. Stay beautiful and take care.